The Los Angeles night was alive with the hum of city lights, their glow softened by a fog rolling in from the Pacific, casting a dreamlike haze over the streets. In a weathered community center, where the air carried the faint scent of stale coffee and worn leather, a group of veterans sat in a circle, their faces etched with the weight of battles fought and memories that refused to fade. At the center stood Lady Gaga, not the pop icon draped in sequins and spectacle, but a woman in a simple black sweater, her voice barely above a whisper as she listened to their stories of pain and resilience. For months she'd been coming here, unnoticed, pouring her heart and fortune into a fund to heal the invisible wounds of war. No cameras followed, no headlines trumpeted her work. But when the truth of her quiet mission broke through the fog, it wasn't the applause that mattered. It was the tears in the eyes of those she'd helped, a silent ovation louder than any arena could hold. It was the spring of 2025, and Los Angeles pulsed with its usual frenetic energy. Car horns blared in the distance, neon signs flickered along Hollywood Boulevard, and the air was thick with the mingled sense of exhaust, salt from the nearby ocean, and the faint sweetness of jacaranda blooms. In a forgotten corner of the city, a community center stood like a relic, its beige paint peeling, its windows clouded with years of grime. Inside, the linoleum floors creaked under the weight of folding chairs arranged in a circle. Veterans gathered here weekly, their boots scuffing the floor, their voices low and halting as they shared stories of war, gunfire that still echoed in their dreams, comrades lost, and nights when sleep was a stranger. Post-traumatic stress disorder was their uninvited guest, a shadow that clung to them long after the battlefield. Therapy was a luxury, funding for it a pipe dream, and hope felt like a word from someone else's language. Lady Gaga was at the peak of her career, her latest album dominating charts, her tour filling stadiums from Tokyo to London. Her days were a whirlwind of rehearsals, interviews, and red carpet flashes, her nights spent in a sleek penthouse overlooking the city's glittering skyline. But in the quiet hours, when the world thought she was resting, she was reading. Letters poured into her foundation, each one a raw plea from veterans who'd seen her speak about mental health on X. One letter, from a former Marine named Marcus, stopped her cold. "You talk about strength," he wrote, his handwriting jagged but deliberate. "I used to be strong. Now I'm just broken. And no one cares." The words hit her like a punch, echoing her own battles with trauma, the nights when her mind had been her own worst enemy. She'd clawed her way out of that darkness, and now she saw a chance to help others do the same. She didn't announce her plan to the world. Instead, she founded the Silent Stage Fund, channeling millions from her personal fortune into mental health programs for veterans. She chose Los Angeles as her starting point, a city of dreams where too many veterans lived in the shadows of despair. Her team worked in secrecy, renting the community center, hiring licensed therapists, and training peer counselors who'd walked the same path as those they'd help. Gaga herself showed up unannounced, her hair tied back in a messy bun, her face bare of the dramatic makeup that defined her stage persona. She was just Stefani here, slipping into the circle of chairs, her presence unassuming but magnetic. The veterans didn't recognize her at first. She was just a woman who listened, her eyes soft but piercing, as if she could see the weight they carried. The conflict came early, sharp and unrelenting. The program's anonymity was its strength, but it also drew suspicion. In a city council meeting, held in a sterile room that smelled of disinfectant and bureaucracy. A counselor named Harris challenged the initiative. "We can't have unauthorized programs running without oversight," he said, his voice clipped over the hum of an overworked air conditioner. "Who's funding this? What's their agenda?" His words hung in the air, heavy with skepticism. Outside, the city buzzed, oblivious to the quiet battle unfolding. Veterans, too, were cautious. Marcus, his eyes shadowed from sleepless nights, confronted Gaga after a session, his voice rough. "Why are you here?" he asked, his hands clenched, the room smelling of rain-soaked coats and instant coffee. "What do you get out of this?" She met his gaze, unflinching. "I get to see you keep going," she said. "That's enough." He didn't reply, but he stayed, his shoulders loosening just a fraction. The development was a grueling journey, a testament to grit and heart. Gaga spent evenings at the center, sitting in on therapy sessions, her notebook filled with ideas to expand the program. The room was alive with small sounds, the rustle of paper, the creak of chairs, the occasional choked sob as someone shared a memory too heavy to hold alone. She listened as Marcus spoke of nightmares that woke him screaming, of a guilt that felt like a stone in his chest. She shared her own story, her voice raw as she described her battles with anxiety, the nights when she felt like she was drowning in her own mind. "You're not broken," she told the group, her words cutting through the dim light. "You're still here, and that's the strongest thing I've ever seen." She pushed her team to think bigger: virtual therapy platforms for veterans in rural areas, art workshops where paint and canvas became outlets for pain, music sessions where guitars and drums gave voice to what words couldn't. She redirected her profits to the fund, her accountants wincing as the numbers climbed. "It's not about the money," she said in a heated boardroom meeting, her voice echoing off walls that smelled of polished mahogany. "It's about them. It's about giving them a stage to heal." Her team, exhausted but inspired, doubled down, securing partnerships with local nonprofits and training more counselors. The conflict escalated when a local reporter, sniffing a story, began digging. He cornered Gaga after a session, his phone glowing in the dim hallway, the air sharp with the scent of wet pavement and cigarette smoke. "Why keep this a secret?" he pressed, his eyes glinting with ambition. "This could make you a hero." She shook her head, her voice firm. "It's not about me," she said. "It's about them. Let them have this space." He backed off, but the truth was a spark waiting to catch fire. The climax came on a rainy evening, 8 months into the program. The community center was packed, its walls newly painted with funds from Gaga's foundation, the air warm with the glow of candles and the scent of fresh-baked cookies from a volunteer. Marcus, now training as a peer counselor, stood to speak, his voice steady for the first time in years. "I thought I was done," he said, his eyes sweeping the room. "But this place, this program, gave me a reason to keep fighting." He didn't name Gaga, but his gaze found her in the back, her face half hidden in shadow. The room erupted in applause, veterans and their families rising, their hands clapping in a rhythm that felt like a pulse. Gaga slipped out, her boots quiet on the wet pavement, her heart swelling with a quiet pride that no stage could match. The truth broke the next morning. A veteran's daughter posted on X, a blurry photo of Gaga listening in the circle, captioned, "She's been here, saving us." The post went viral, retweets flooding in as clips of the center's art gallery. Paintings of hope and pain created by veterans spread across the internet. The Silent Stage Fund became a beacon, inspiring programs in other cities. Gaga didn't comment, didn't take the spotlight. She was already planning the next step, her mind on the veterans still waiting for help. The denouement came months later, in a letter from Marcus. It arrived at her foundation, handwritten, its edges crisp. "You gave me back my voice," he wrote. "Not with fame, but with time and belief." Gaga read it in her office, the Los Angeles skyline sparkling through the window, the air soft with the scent of jasmine from a nearby candle. She folded the letter, tucking it into a drawer beside others like it. It wasn't the world's applause she wanted. It was the knowledge that Marcus and others like him could breathe again, could find their own stage. As the Silent Stage Fund grew, its impact echoed far beyond Los Angeles, a testament to what one person's belief can do. Lady Gaga, whose voice filled arenas, found her true strength in the quiet act of listening, of giving veterans a space to heal. Her stage wasn't under lights but in a worn community center, where broken spirits found their strength again. True artistry isn't just in the performance. It's in the ability to lift up those who need it most, to shine a light where darkness lingers. In the stories of those she helped, Gaga's legacy was written, not in headlines, but in the hearts of those who found their way back to life.